Thank you very much, In Control. Let's jump right into this one because we are ready for the second game here of the finals, the playoffs here at Dreamhack Open 2014 at Dreamhack Winter. Let's jump right into it. As down here to the bottom right-hand side, playing for Team Liquid is the red Terran. It's TaeJa.
One of the tournament favorites from the very beginning. And the winner, of course, going up to face off against life, his opponent, the Terran that's been playing in Europe this past year from Team My Insanity. Give it up for Jjakji.
And I was sitting backstage and I found a very interesting stat here, Nathanius, is Jjakji has only lost one series in Terran versus Terran since the start of July. Or the end of June, however you want to look at it. One series only in multiple months of Terran versus Terran games. That one series was when he lost in the finals versus MMA at Dreamhack Moscow. But that's a pretty heavy thing to have coming into this, and especially because he's performed so well with this tournament in Terran versus Terran already.
Yeah, Jjakji is one of the guys. When you play in Europe, you're going to play against people like 4GG on the ladder all the time. You've got great practice. You're playing against MMA pretty consistently. And these are the types of players, well, not only did they make it quite far in this tournament, to say the least, but they're the kind of guys that will give you the practice you need to deal with pretty much anybody you're going to face worldwide. And
I really think that Jjakji, well, my personal favorite here, that Jjakji hopefully is going to be carrying some of that mind sanity magic into this kind of game, because we've seen it before with Saxry, we've seen it before that as well with Stardust. Does he have some of that star power that he can bring to knock out Liquid TaeJa? Because TaeJa, as everyone's expecting, to move forward, to challenge the likes of Life, to challenge the likes of 4GG. But we've already seen two decisive strategies to open up this first game.
That's right. Both players opening up gas first. It's standard, it works, it's good. Now, the second gas is going to be taken by both players. There's a pretty big chance that we'll see either Raven or Banshee openings out of both of them. And this, of course, lets the action kick off pretty quickly. It comes down to, if you're going Banshee, what's your follow-up to defend your opponent's Banshee, and vice versa. If you're going Raven, how are you going to defend and then make a counterattack later on? Who's going to expand first? There's a lot of questions that remain to be answered, but the Starports, the Tech Labs, they tell a story that we will see some kind of Banshee or Raven play.
That's right. We have a Hellion coming out here for Liquid TaeJa, as he's just about to finish up with this Starport and Tech Lab on that barracks, as you've said. And who is going to get the head start in this series, because we are going to see aggression from both sides here. We are going to see both of them go at each other. Who gets damage done, because they will continue, if they do get that damage done, into the mid-game with a clear advantage. And now as you see the barracks, the factory, the Starport all switching around. Cloak Banshee for TaeJa, Raven for Jjakji.
When I think about these two players and, you know, watching some of the games that they played this year, I do think of TaeJa as less likely to go for the crazy aggression. And Jjakji this game, I think he's telling himself he really doesn't want to lose this game to any one of those fast attacks. Jjakji wants this game to go long. He feels comfortable. As you said, his TVT has been superb. And anybody who watches online tournaments knows that, because he plays and wins pretty much all of them, if not making top 4. So this build will allow him to safely defend most attacks that you could be hit with, and that will allow him to try to get an attack later on once he deflects the Banshee.
And an important fact for us to know is that neither of these players really know exactly what they're doing. They know they're on one base, they know they've taken a single gas, but don't know exactly what unit composition they're going for here. So the Banshee and Cloak for TaeJa that's on its way to the other side of the map is going to walk into a wall here. Jjakji with the Raven, obviously giving detection for the Marines underneath. And if he shuts this down very easily, it's going to be a great start.
So what's most interesting to me, as this Banshee crosses the map, the SCV for Jjakji pokes the steeple wall, but we can see that TaeJa has taken a command center. He wants to expand after this little push. Jjakji's already halfway done with his first siege tank. He's getting Vikings out with the Raven. He could be planning to go for a very swift counterattack to the natural and possibly try to contain TaeJa on one base. But the Banshee shows up, Marines are poised, the Viking is there, the opening has done what it was designed to do.
Yeah, it pushes the Banshee back. I guess you can look on the flip side, the positive side here for TaeJa. He saw no command center and he saw the Tech Lab on the factory, so he knows that tanks are being made, and he knows that he's going to have to start to get ready to defend this incoming push that we are going to see coming out from Jjakji. An engineer bay has been built here so we can actually move out safely, throw a couple of turrets in the mineral line so we can move out without having damage being done by this Banshee.
Yeah, I really like the Widow Mine from TaeJa. Just moving it up front a little bit. Vikings will move faster than most of your army. Even picking off just that one Viking with the mine is a game-changing pickup. The other thing to consider is the defender's advantage. If Jjakji pushes across the map, TaeJa's still going to have tanks out. He already has his first one up. So the longer that Jjakji waits to make his move, and I think it's not actually going to be a frontal assault. It's looking like a pretty big drop. This is kind of what was really popular a few months ago, especially in Masa Catalina, the Raven double medevac drop with 2 tanks and 8 Marines.
Well, let's see where TaeJa's army is going to be. The command center's done. It's very clear to us right now that TaeJa, if he defends this big assault that Jjakji's planning to make, the game's going to end. It's going to be way too heavily in favor of TaeJa, and he's going to pick up map number 1. Yeah. Here comes the movement out. Medevac's lifted. Raven ready to go. 3 auto turrets loaded as well. Yeah, the important thing to note here is that if he has to pull SCVs, Jjakji can still kind of equalize things, but this Widow Mine is going to spot just barely a Viking moving out. The Raven as well won't detonate on anything. Banshee sees the Medivac, so he knows exactly the plan. He knows it's not going to be a frontal attack, and the drop is planned. And look at TaeJa's army position. He's pretty ready to receive this. He's moving his army, though, towards the front, because there's actually a Marine push hitting the front as well. He's really trying to stretch TaeJa out in multiple directions as TaeJa counterattacks with his Banshees. Well, the Vikings and Raven looking for those Medivacs here, as it looks like the plan is potentially changed here for Jjakji. He's going to boost forward the Banshee on the other side of the map, dealing a bit of pressure, and here comes Jjakji. Marines in position, tank in position as well. Yeah, I really like the choice to go right up front. Just push this natural away. Do what you can. Don't go too far in if you don't have what you need to break him down. At the same time, TaeJa's Banshee parked in a very nice position to pick off a few SCVs, actually quite a few so far in Jjakji's base. And Jjakji, he's delayed this expansion. They're both just trading away the workers. TaeJa loses his Raven there. Point defense zone gives a significant advantage. Even though the Viking has less health, he can still win in a straight-up fight, and now he has a defensive Viking to help pick off that one. Actually, okay, so Jjakji actually had his command center and his natural delay. These Banshees are really doing work for TaeJa. 15, 16 kills here by TaeJa, racking up the SCVs despite that turret being there. And Jjakji pushes forward into the 2 tanks. Is he going to be able to break them? He's going to try to bring these 2 tanks down. One of them gets targeted, and he's going to go for the second one. The repair is not going to work at 2. Jjakji picking tanks go down. Picking off these siege tanks is such a nice move for him. He's going to try to just go straight into the main base, braving his way through the Vikings, loses one of his medevacs, but even with that auto turret for support, he's got a nice bit of damage he can put out. The SCVs get pulled onto these tanks, but he has the low ground tank, he has his Marines here, and the tanks coming out, like just that is not going to be enough. And Jjakji here is going to bring down that last tank with 4 Marines left over, and there's simply no units here for TaeJa. There's a tank at the back, a Banshee comes back from the aggression to help defend. Maybe this is going to be the way that TaeJa holds on, but remember, he still has that double command sentry, still has mules to use. This Medivac here going to try and get to that SCV line. TaeJa holds on for now, but more units coming across. Jjakji's not even put an SCV, just now putting it back on the command center, so he will have the latest expansion ever, but I don't really think that's what he's focusing on for this game, Apollo. This next push that's coming in, the Banshee bought him some time, but he just doesn't have a lot of units to deal with this, and even this Widow Mine, as we can see, keeps passing by it. It's not caused him any trouble this game. All right, well, looks like Jjakji's going to bring that Medivac around to his main force here and try again. One more decisive and clinical strike from Jjakji could end this game in his favor. As he comes around this left-hand side, Banshee gets up a Marine there. Every little bit helps here. Tank, strip, drop, but not too much damage. The Medivac survives with like 1 or 2 hit points there. Great moves by Jjakji. Yeah, he's playing with fire, moving this Medivac forward at all. The tanks, it's nice for TaeJa to at least somewhat not be dead just yet, as he's continuing to still get some good trades. He picks off that last tank, does get the Banshee, but Jjakji, man. Great micro here by Jjakji, using that Medivac with almost no hit points to true effect, picking up units left and right, putting the pressure onto TaeJa. He's going to have to move that command sentry. He's got a tank in a very good position there. No Banshee for Jjakji to actually assault into it. And TaeJa continues to hold in this very stressful situation. Yeah, killing off these Vikings, getting that air control means he'll have guaranteed vision. There's not really any effective way to pick off these siege tanks outside the production line of TaeJa. Now he's going to stem a few Marines forward, tries to snipe the tank, no dice, still alive, and he'll counter drop on top. No, the Medivac goes down with all the Marines in it. That was a disaster there for Jjakji, and there's a lot of SCVs here that TaeJa can use to help clean this up. The Viking lands, and TaeJa cleans Jjakji out from inside his main base just about, where these Vikings should get picked off nice and easily. Great defense, and most importantly, fantastic composure here by Liquid TaeJa. Yeah, TaeJa ends this battle with a worker lead, his command center floating around, a little bit of an awkward float. He went on a journey
as it were, but Jjakji has not yet actually moved his command center over, and he took a substantial amount of damage from those Banshees. I really think he was anticipating that he could actually kill him, and even this, he's going to buy himself a little bit more time.
Great delaying tactic there from TaeJa. He's going to move his command center to the gold base here, and he's going to put the knock it up a few notches and start to put the pressure back onto Jjakji here as TaeJa takes a supply lead in this game. He was very close to dying, but he stays alive. Picks up an SCV kill there. 43 supply for Liquid TaeJa, just shortly ahead of Jjakji here with 39.
TaeJa's always been one of the most difficult players to kill with early aggressive plays, and TVT has been a matchup where some have found success with that type of play. But now, with the upgrade advantage that he had, having his stim and combat shield complete after that defense, Jjakji's the one that's now going to end up being contained. If you try to move down your ramp with Marines and tanks, you just be bum rushed.
This is terrible news here for Jjakji. He cannot be stuck on one base. He has to break out. For every second that goes by, more and more money is going to start to fund TaeJa's further production and bigger army size here. This is really bad for Jjakji. He needs to break out ASAP here. I'm not too sure if he knows that TaeJa's mining, but he knows that second command center was there, so has to put 2 and 2 together.
TaeJa's mining almost triple the resources with these mules that he has, and you know, this is just going to allow him to power out so many more forces than Jjakji that, or given, you know, any just a little bit longer time in this game, he's going to be able to win it because he knows, hey, Jjakji, you're stuck on one base. There's nothing you can really do.
And now Medivacs are going to grace the field here for TaeJa. So while he has his contain, or at least some units around the center of the map, and of course that's where the focus of Jjakji is going to be, because that's where he has to expand to. But with Medivacs, he can come around the back inside, can drop into the mineral line, can do major damage. Widowmine still causing a headache here for the Mayan Sanity player. But in a couple of seconds' time, TaeJa with these Medivacs, man, he's going to drive Jjakji insane.
Yeah, oh, this scan runs out with 3 hit points on the Widowmine. That's frustrating to say the least.
Absolutely here. Things are starting to go downhill for Jjakji. He was so very, very close, and even this Medivac looks like it's going to get picked off here. Another lead for TaeJa, and an 80 supply to 50 difference between the both of them. And I just cannot stress how very close it was for Jjakji to win this game with that assault. But TaeJa, by the skin of his teeth, held on, and now is in a game-winning position. All he's got to do, Nathan, is slam dunk the ball home.
That's right. He pretty much had TaeJa in his coffin, but TaeJa climbed out from the dead, and this has been a fantastic recovery after that defense. At this point, Jjakji, he's in full turtle mode. He's desperate to hold on to this natural, but now the Medivacs, as you mentioned, come into play. One defensive siege tank. He could even try to just drop on top of this or just charge it.
Yeah, these Marines jogging towards the other ones here as they do not have stim. He picks up the tank, and actually a pretty good defense here from Jjakji.
But these Marines with the upgrades, man, they wreck face, and most of the defending forces of Jjakji get cleaned up. TaeJa, you know, with that low health Medivac, he doesn't want to try jumping on that siege tank just yet, but he is going to pressure the front, and they're double drop on top of the tanks of Jjakji. The natural expansion being taken out, and TaeJa takes game number 1.
Very solid there from TaeJa, not dying and then landing the counter-strike beautifully as he sets himself up wonderfully in this best of 5 series with the first map victory, and the smiles are already here, Nathanius. A shake of the hand, and the grins mean one thing, that he's feeling comfortable in that booth.
Yeah, that's got to be one of those games that really makes you feel good. When you're playing a TVT, you open up with a build that's relatively standard. You're going for a Cloak Banshee, you want to expand after, and your opponent does this super aggressive attack after defending that Banshee, and you're pretty much out of time. You've got no workers, you have no army, and you somehow find a way to barely hold on with the Banshee in his base. He's won the mental game already, I think.
Well, now he just needs to really compose himself here coming into this next one, Jjakji, and really build his strength back up, because it was a good start, but he just needs to keep on hammering this one home. He's definitely got it within him to be able to bring down such a titan, of course, 11 StarCraft 2-time champion. But at the end of the day, TaeJa is a beast, and there's a reason why he's won 11 championships. There's a reason why he's won 4 Dreamhack championships. And as sometimes as easy it can look, it can look just as difficult too.
Yeah. One map for TVT that we haven't seen a crazy amount of is Nimbus. And for this matchup, it can get pretty interesting. Both of these guys, I think, are willing to take it to the long game if they have to. And for Terran versus Terran, that gets pretty weird, because most of the time you want to open up gas first, you want to be aggressive. We could still see Banshees, you still have a big main, but maybe this is the game that goes long in this series.
All right, well, well, I guess we'll see if it will or not. Very important map here against a player like TaeJa. And to be honest, any player at this level,
yeah,
you don't want to go down 0-2. You have to really be picking up this next game.
Yeah, recovering from an 0-2 position against someone like TaeJa is probably, it's not a tale many people get to tell. They're like, yeah, I was down 0-2 and won 3 games in a row against the Liquid TaeJa. Right. It's not a story told often.
And Jjakji's got a very difficult road, of course, to the grand finals with StarTail Life, the next opponent for either one of these two players. And then ahead of that, 4GG waiting in the grand finals. A very difficult road to being a champion, but what would it be if it wasn't difficult? Yeah. It would be easy.
Well, nothing's easy here with the players that we have left, Apollo. It's been a tough road for everyone, but they're looking to see who's going to go up against StarTail Life as we are loaded in to map number 2, Nimbus. Oh, we've already got a cross spawn set up, Apollo. This is looking pretty awesome. I'm excited to kick this one off.
Yeah, let's jump right into map number 2 here between these two players. Who's going to move forward? Can TaeJa pick up a 2-0? Can Jjakji equalize?
That's the big question. Our first player in the top right, in the red, up 1-0, representing Team Liquid, he is TaeJa. And really great attack, but not quite able to seal the deal when he had his opponent on the back foot. In blue, playing for Team My Insanity, he is Jjakji.
As we load into this map number 2, are we going to see a change of pace from both of these players? You've described a couple of reasons before. It's a map that really favors and can push you into regular play. But at the same time, the tendencies in this matchup is to be aggressive early, to get the damage done, maybe to play defensive with the Raven to then turn it into an attack. But we see, for the first time, of course, in this series, 2 different builds not playing the same here. We've got Jjakji going for the gas first as he did in the previous game, whereas TaeJa has taken a different approach.
Yeah, for TaeJa, it's looking like a bit of a later gas. So this isn't the type of strategy you're looking to commit to that really fast factory play, although he's still likely to go for it following whatever he wants to open with, be it that Reaper, something weird like a fast react, but most likely just going to be a Reaper to scout. This map, it's not bad for it just because the map is so big, and you have a couple of cliffs and here and there that you can work with. Nothing insane. However, Jjakji, if he wanted to try to get a fast Hellion or something to take advantage of how late TaeJa's production will be, how much later his factory will be, it's a bit more difficult because it is cross spawns. It's a big map.
All right, I want to talk a little bit about something here, Nathaniel. It says, in this matchup, gas versus gas first against another player going gas first is the most common thing that we see in this matchup. Gas first just so incredibly popular, really easy to get damage done. We don't really see One Barracks Command Center, Reaper expansions, Command Center first for a reason. Yet we see it here from TaeJa. Does this not just simply say that Jjakji's in a position to gain a good lead because of how often this strategy is used and the reason why we don't see this from TaeJa?
I just think it's a sign of confidence from TaeJa. Taking that first map so convincingly, you'd be hard-pressed to believe that Jjakji would try anything similar again, and because of the space that TaeJa obviously wouldn't have known about when the game started since the spawns are random, it's a nice spot because he's still going to go up to the same tech that Jjakji will. He's just doing it a little bit later with the assumption that, yeah, I'm better than you. I can defend against anything you throw at me.
Well, Jjakji's got a fantastic SCV scout, which you would rarely see, to be honest. With a Reaper out at this point, it's, can be a little bit lucky to get in there, and he did get in there. He knows what he's playing against. It is going to be the Reaper expansion, as we've seen. And Jjakji already, through seeing this, has chosen his plan. He hasn't taken a second gas. He's got the starport down immediately. He's got a couple of Marines to hopefully block the Reaper. We'll see, as the Hellion is there as well to help out. Is he going to get a block? And he's not, so TaeJa actually goes in and sees everything. Can this work, what Jjakji's going for here, this Widowmine Hellion Marine drop?
So the Widowmine play, it's something that's, you usually if you're going for Hellions, you can deal with it in ways we saw 4GG, just kind of kill it against your own buildings. But the tricky part is, if this was, say, Catalina or maybe more like Merry-Go-Round, you have a super short distance. Like, you're pretty much going towards where, like, the 4th base is, and you're kind of close to the entrance to the natural or main. But he has to go over twice that distance to actually get to TaeJa's base. So by the time he does, TaeJa's got 2 or 3 rounds of Hellions out. Defending against it is a lot easier, specifically because of the spawns and just, yeah, mostly the map as well.
And due to the strategy and build that Jjakji's taking, he doesn't need to deal critical damage. He's got a command center on the way here. Obviously, it would be very nice and pleasant for him to get a couple of SCV kills. If he gets nothing, gets 0 damage done, TaeJa just naturally is going to take a lead in this game due to the faster the command center. And here is the medivac. Here's TaeJa in position. He's got no units up here, so Jjakji can get some damage done.
I do like how TaeJa's spaced everything out with as far as his buildings go, so he will be able to see this coming in, and he immediately sees it. He's making his way over. He wants to get this Widow Mine planted down somewhere where it will be a nuisance, but there's so many Hellions that can run up here and cause damage. Like, yeah, okay, you've taken this position, but there's nothing here to kill.
Yeah, and he's going to follow that medivac. Going to try and get into the SCV line. Note, doubles back. Widowmine gets picked up and is easily taken down here. TaeJa, perfect defense once again. This medivac's going to get pushed back. He's missed his opportunity, and due to that, just look at the supply difference. Yeah. 49 for TaeJa, 39 here for Jjakji, and he takes a lead in this game.
Yeah, I mean, you usually only need 1 boost to get to their base on the smaller maps, but on this one, he flew for a solid 20 seconds after that, and that allows TaeJa to finish up his next wave of Hellions, and then once he drops everything, you just swarm it. That's the way that you're supposed to play this style. Jjakji's going to try to swing back again, but there's a Viking in position. There's a second Viking coming out, and TaeJa, he's running some Hellions across the map.
This is interesting. So TaeJa uses defensive Hellions to be aggressive. At the same time, Jjakji notices that and actually tries to drop in to get damage done. How is this going to shape out? It's going to come down to who deals damage, and unfortunately, TaeJa didn't actually get into the main base of his opponent. The Hellions rendered useless in the middle of the map here. So Jjakji does move there, but
does get the medevac though, which is a really nice pickoff. He's basically ended the aggression that Jjakji can really go for at this point. Jjakji's going to start some medevac production. The one thing, since TaeJa has opted to go bio this game, we've seen some mech out of him before, is this stim. So Jjakji, if he can get another drop in later on, or maybe get some Vikings, somehow get in his base and get some small fights, the skirmishes will always go in favor of the sim player if you have medevacs.
So it's going to be very important here for TaeJa to have units in position, map control, simple stuff like the Zelnaga Tower, Viking around his main base or natural area, wherever Jjakji may go. As you see that stim coming in now, just 10 seconds till its completion. And TaeJa will catch up when it comes to production. He's got 3 barracks being put down, and he will start to rise his unit count. He does have a faster engineering bay as well, so he'll have that faster attack upgrade too. But for the time being, I mean, Jjakji can't really go anywhere until he has... Well, actually, no, he's moving across now. I didn't think he had the medivacs out. They're on their way.
I feel like we've seen something like this before from the series that he actually just played, the last TVT, with this just 4 barracks. And okay, so he is going to get 3rd command center. I was almost really confused that he would go that we would see this style pop up again. So at this point, Jjakji seems to be under the impression that he's going up against some type of mech because he's building 2 Marauders at a time. He's even getting concussive shells.
Yeah, that's interesting that, but here comes Jjakji. Stim timing complete. It's going to boost into the natural. Where's TaeJa, who does not have Stim? He's got to defend this without taking too much damage. The drop comes in, and it's spread across all around the back of these supply depots. The medivacs are going to go down pretty fast here, but TaeJa's not really taking that much damage as of yet. Well, 7 SCVs, 8 ACVs is actually quite a lot, so I'll take that back there.
He does get the Vikings as well, opening the door for later drops. Always important to keep that in mind. And yeah, he's going to clean this up, but you said it, Apollo. 12 SCVs. You know, that hurts. TaeJa's down 5 workers overall now, but trying to keep things in a bit of perspective, he does have that 3rd command center much more quickly. In fact, Jjakji has not yet started one, so he's building 4 Marauders at a time. He's not playing versus mech. This is wild.
Yes, obviously Marauders just not as good as Marines here in the direct combat. This is interesting. We'll see how this is going to develop, because right now there's only 2 bases for Jjakji. He's working very hard on these 5 barracks. There's a 3rd command center finish up for TaeJa. He's got his +1 attack done. He's got his stim finished as well. And he's in position to deflect another one here. Surely this is looking pretty good for TaeJa at this point. 12 Marauders to 6 Marines or 8 Marines.
I'm worried if Jjakji just drops straight into this, because those Marines will clean out the Marauders with no trouble at all. Now this 4 Hellion drop just complicates things, and he's like still putting these weird thoughts in his head of mech. SCVs dropping left and right, and at the very least not mining from this expansion.
Oh, and he's going to lose everything on the other side of the map. He actually boosted into the natural. Only 1 of 2 medivacs survive, and there's hardly any units left off here. And that is it. GG called. And TaeJa taking a 2-0 here.
I really think Jjakji was under the impression that he was up against mech. He assumed, okay, I'm getting attacked, but just boost my drop in because he's only going to have Hellion. So at the very least, I should be able to unload my Marauders. He can't kill them quickly enough, and we can trade. But that's not quite what he got. Definitely not expecting 16 Marines waiting in that mineral line.
Yeah, very weird series, or should I say map there. And Jjakji's perspective caught a little bit off guard, but TaeJa deals very well under the circumstances and is able to pick up that 2-0. And now that's what we talked about just prior to that game, is that you can't afford to lose this type of game against TaeJa, because now winning 3 in a row against this type of world-class player who is, destined by so many people to win BlizzCon until he got stopped by life. He's, one of the best, if not the best player currently. This is a massive uphill battle.
Yeah, and it's got to feel really bad if you're Jjakji. Like, you just think about not just you lost 2 games, but the way that you lost the 2 games. The first one, you have him, you pretty much have him about to die, and you just take too much damage from harass back home. The second game, he's going mech, big marauder drops, and there's a bunch of Marines waiting for you. You're not going to win in a straight up fight. These aren't situations where it's like, I got out macroed or something like that. It's like, no, man, a couple of things here and there, or in the second game, like a pretty big mistake.
Well, he's not going to make these mistakes going on to the rest of this one. The next map is going to be Catalina here. And this, out of the map pool that we have for the players to choose from, is absolutely one of the most aggressive maps here. They usually end, 18-minute mark, I think we said it was over the weekend?
Something like that. Something like that. Very quick games that can drag on a little bit as one Terran bleeds out onto the other. But, you said it. This map loves the aggression. There's so many different ways to attack from the skies. There's so many different ways to get scouting early on as well. Right. But even that doesn't always help when there's 360 degrees open to your base from the air.
So let's talk a little bit about Jjakji then, because we're very close to jumping into this one. So before we do that, Jjakji, what major change must he make overall as a strategy gamer in this strategy game? What must he change?
It's just really weird to try to find something specific, because the mistakes that he made, it's like if you're going for like a 1-base Marine tank Raven push, like that's like a one-off sort of build. We haven't really seen Jjakji play the mid-late game at all. We haven't seen that in a lot of TVTs, period. But I'm really not sure. I think he just needs to play straight up, and maybe he's nervous. Maybe that's it. Maybe he just needs to calm down and just focus, because the mistakes he's made were not ones, I think, characteristic of his achievements.
Well, the one man that can give us that answer is Jjakji himself. So let's find out. Let's jump into this. This is map number 3 of Dreamhack Winter 2014 here. Very, very close towards the deep stages of this tournament now. There's only 4 players remain, excuse me, up here to the left-hand side of Catalina as the red Terran player currently up 2-0. Plays for Team Liquid, it's TaeJa!
And this is, this is match point for this guy at this point. The blue Terran player needs to just recollect himself, playing for Team My Insanity. Give a cheer for Jjakji.
Jjakji, of course, having a fantastic 2014 overall. He's missed out on some really big championship victories. He's doing so close so many times here. This is his 5th top 4 at least finish this year. And he continues to stretch further and further towards a final. He did reach the final of Dreamhack Moscow, which gave him the position that he is today playing in Dreamhack Winter. But he's now walked into Dreamhack itself, which is Liquid TaeJa. And the builds have taken shape once again here, Nathanius. Both players opening up exactly the same.
Gas first.
Gas first.
Good old gas first. It's funny to think about what led us to this place, and a lot of it for this season was the map pool, but a lot of players had kind of shied away from this. We saw mostly 15 gas openers once Hellbat drops got nerfed, and then they decreased the cost of Cloak for Banshees, and it made that option so good that mixing it up between the Hellion drops and all that sort of thing, like if you watch TVT and Pro League in the last year, a lot of them would be openings with these games, and those guys were way ahead of everybody else. We saw lots of short games earlier this year, and now it's just kind of taken over the matchup everywhere.
One small victory here for Jjakji. He was able to get the first scouting information in this game. He's been able to go inside his opponent's base, have a look, and get out. Whereas TaeJa, still actively trying to find where his opponent spawned. Of course, this map being a 3-player one, he went down to the bottom right, now must go all the way up to the north. But he's not going to be able to get too much information. He'll see that his opponent's on one base. He can try to figure out that it's probably a gas first, knowing how many units he has at the current point in the game. Wait, Jjakji, full of information. Is he going to play a defensive style from this position? Does he want to try to play aggressive? He's got a Hellion on the way. Of course, Marine's still pumping. Starport comes down. We'll figure out if he will play aggressive or not in a second, once his build does develop a little bit more.
Yeah, big things, of course, to always keep your eyes on when players are going for gas-first strategies is if and or when they take that second gas. Neither player has gone for it so far, and we're seeing pretty mirror builds. There's the second gas from TaeJa, so a pretty late second gas. Maybe he wants to open up with a medevac and get a late Viking, or he's just focusing on maybe build a Widow Mine and a medevac at the same time. But either way, it does appear that Jjakji's going to just try to do it straight up with Hellions and Marines.
I think this could be pretty good, actually, depending on where TaeJa goes. Does he try to get a Banshee from this position? Unfortunately not. He's going for a Widow Mine and medevac, so this could work out. I think Jjakji hoping we were to see some type of Banshee opening, because he could get in there before the Banshee was out. Maybe, you know, if the Banshee was caught on the other side of the map, he could deal damage to the SCVs with this type of drop, but that's not exactly how TaeJa's decided to play this one at the moment.
No. So the medevacs are coming out, and this is it. This is what we're going to see. Which player wants to move out? Are they going to run into each other, as happened in the series that Colt was so unfortunate in? Reactor back home, so a little bit less production. Tech Lab back home for TaeJa.
Medivac's all going to cross paths here. Do they keep going? TaeJa continues on. Likewise does Jjakji at this point. It's so early in the game. It's only 6 minutes. They have so few units out to defend, especially when you're attacking your opponent. The Widow Mine plants itself. Marines into the SCV line. Likewise, Jjakji's going to do the same. This game could end incredibly fast here if one player deals enough damage.
Yeah, TaeJa did leave some units at home. He has his siege tank coming up, picks off the Viking of Jjakji in his base. So he's just going to use his SCVs. He has a few more fighting units back home, and once his tank comes out, TaeJa gets a bit more staying power. Jjakji, though, he's the one he's not mining at all. He's lost pretty much everything.
Jjakji's killed 17 SCVs here. That was a huge amount of workers for this part of the game. TaeJa down to 8, but he's now going to try to deal the counter damage into his opponent's SCV line.
Oh, that Widow Mine actually hurting the SCVs of TaeJa a bit more. And Jjakji, with the Hellions, with these Marines, you know, the healing power of the medevac is not quite that strong. The only thing that's really making this tricky, looking forward, is
GG. TaeJa takes a 3-0. Jjakji couldn't hold on. TaeJa finds himself one further place in this tournament, and he gets his wish to play against StarTel Life in the next round. TaeJa, very fast 3-0 again.
Yeah, TaeJa has had quite a bit of experience with that in this tournament, with some fantastic games. And yeah, he had a great follow-up after that initial push. Like, once those players had traded out the units they had in each other's base, TaeJa had the tank. He could just kill him. All he had was a Hellion and 2 Marines.
Well, TaeJa finds himself exactly where he wants to be. Unfortunately there for Jjakji, showing great performance at this tournament, a fantastic performance, and you know, a good roundup for his year as well to get another top 4 finish. Unfortunately couldn't break through to the top 3 at this event. But that leaves us with 4GG in the global finals at the end there, the grand finals. And then, of course, Life versus TaeJa. It's the game we've all been wanting to see. Artosis and In Control, you're back with us up here. That was a pretty fast 3-0.
Really nice casting, Nathaniel. So that was an amazing match. Very much so setting up the one that's been hyped up this entire time. TaeJa versus
It was
Life.
destiny for these two to hit each other. We just thought it would be in the grand finals instead of the loser bracket finals. So one of these guys is going to go home in 3rd place. Both of them were pretty sure they were going to win the whole thing. So it's going to be a disappointment. 3rd place, a disappointment. That's some different problems right there, right?
For these two, it is.
It is.
It would be. It will be.
Yeah.
It has to be.
It's not possible for them to both get to the grand final and win. They'd still have to beat 4GG anyway.
No, it's not. I was trying to think of a way that they could all tie.
They're going to Archon mode against 4GG, just team up.
That's Legacy of the Void, mate.
No, too soon.
No.
Unfortunately, though, it becomes a best of 5, not best of 7, which they both wanted to have originally here because of 4GG obviously knocking Life down here. Has that changed the series a lot? Or like a best of 7, a best of 5? You think that changes it drastically, the series? Or
I don't. I mean, what do you think?
Be pretty normal
I
anyway?
don't think it changes it that much. Like, obviously, a best of 7, you're going to really get the best player out of it. Best of 5 can be a little bit more volatile, but with these two, they're like always on point. So I think that still, it's just going to be like excellent games.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm hard pressed to believe it has a big impact because TaeJa kind of just plays straight up, unless he does something really wild in his match against Life. Like, against 4GG, I think you'd actually rather have more maps because he's the one that's a bit harder to read.
That's right. Well, it seems like Smix is ready on the main stage for the winner's interview, so take it away, Smix.
Thank you very much, Sean. Congratulations, TaeJa. That was an astonishing 3-0 victory. Again, such great performances by you. That game one, from our eyes, actually seemed extremely close. How are you able to stay so calm and win the game?
일단 경기 딱 시작했을 때 경기가 시작하고 지훈이 형이 그 본진 올인을 하셨잖아요. 그거를 봐가지고 대처가 좀 빠른 것도 있었고 또 벤시 2마리가 정말 대박을 치셨던 것 같아요. 그것 때문에 이길 수 있었던 것 같아요.
So in that first game, as soon as it started, I noticed that he was going to go for that all-in, and I think that I was able to react very fast. Along with that, I think that it's because my 2 Banshees were able to do so much damage that I was able to win that game from such a dangerous position. TaeJa, the last time I talked to you, you said you were having a little bit trouble with your settings and your control, and you just didn't feel that comfortable. But seeing as you won 3-0 here, does that mean you're feeling better with everything now?
지금 너무 피곤해가지고 감도가 다른지도 모르고 게임해가지고 그렇게 뭔가 기분이 그렇게 나쁘지 않았던 것 같아요.
So he says, strangely enough, I'm actually so tired that I didn't even notice the things that I was mentioning before. So even though I'm really tired, it wasn't bad. I felt pretty fine. And TaeJa, you've been mentioning Life over and over from the beginning of this tournament. You got your wish, just not in the grand finals like you had been expecting. What are your thoughts on that?
일단 베스트 오브 5라는 게 오히려 더 좋은 점인 것 같아요. 그래가지고 이길 수 있는 확률도 있고 질 수 있는 확률도 있지만 꼭 이겨서 결승 가서 그 지수 형이랑 2012년 발렌시아 결승전에서 했었거든요. 그때 좋은 기억이 있어서 결승 올라가면 또 다시 한번 좋은 기억 만들 것 같아요. 2012년.
So he says, first of all, with Life, it'll be a best of 5, which I think is very good for me because there's a really strong chance of a win rate, and I know that means there's also a chance of losing, but I'm pretty confident in that best of 5 series. So I'm going to make sure to win there and make it to the grand finals against 4GG. And I have a memory on playing him at Valencia 2012, and I have a really good memory from that, so I'm really looking forward to that already. TaeJa's already looking at the grand finals. He's just changed his target. I'm really looking forward to your match against Life. We'll see what happens, but until then, Studio Dusk, back to you guys.